All right, guys, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet today. I just had to chime in on this. I was planning a longer live stream, but some other things came up. So I'm just gonna get right into it. This is no doubt a fake news storyline that has been crafted to distract from much bigger problems the country is facing. This is a way to get everyone's attention drawn away from the bad optics of what was already going on at the southern border, and it's to keep people from asking questions. People are starting to question, how did all these Haitians get to Mexico? People can figure out that, Haiti is nowhere near Mexico. So how did that happen? And also, why are there so many people crossing the border? Why now? Why are they all coming as if it was, planned out ahead of time? So let's get right to it. I mean, this is propaganda. This is what they did in what was it, 2018? Remember this image right here? Y'all remember this? Propaganda. This is a propaganda headline from Time magazine, or a cover rather. Welcome to America. We're just seeing the same thing over and over, where they take still shots and they use it to craft narratives. Now, it's easy to get a still shot of somebody looking angry, but they could have been shouting something and they were happy. But if you can get the right still shot, you can then create a narrative around it. You can tug at the heartstrings of people. And that's what happened. Now, understand there's videos here. Okay. This is what everyone's talking about. The videos. And that's why you have Kamala Harris coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, we condemn what we saw at the southern border. Kamala Harris is supposed to be in charge of the southern border. So this is perfect scapegoat for her to keep the heat off of her, what she did to even cause this situation, or her lack of action. It's great for Biden because now they can pivot. The narrative can now change. That's why you see, anytime you see people jumping on to one narrative, you see everyone falling in line to push the same narrative. You know that it's orchestrated. This was planned. This is by design. Okay, so what we're talking about here, everybody's seeing it now. Some of these videos, Haitians being whipped. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I just don't. This video is no doubt blurry, not the best images, but that's not a whip. That's a rein. We can turn the volume down. There's no need for sound. That's a rein. You're trying to control a 2,000-pound animal. You got to have a way to control a 2,000-pound animal. So that's a rein. And if you look at the immigrants there, they're running past them. So they're trying to corral them because they're crossing into our country illegally. So they want to distract you with the fact that people are breaking our laws, crossing our border illegally. They're not getting any help from the Biden regime. They're not getting as much help as they could be getting from Texas. They're doing as much as they can. And so they have officers down there. Now, I understand this looks like some wild, wild west type stuff right here. And I understand exactly why they're doing this. Okay, think about it. Think about what we're looking at here. You got black people crossing in to the United States. You got white men on horseback. They love to keep that at the forefront of black people's minds in America. This is to get black people to get on board with illegal immigrants crossing in, coming into the inner city, competing for resources, not improving our country. Make no mistake about it. This does not improve the United States of America to have people crossing in mass droves and getting amnesty, getting voting rights, getting all the resources that would otherwise be used for people in the United States who have been struggling over the last 18 months and longer than that. So this is to get people on board with this and to distract from the fact that this is a replacement migration right here. This is to create a permanent voting block to keep the people that are currently in power there for decades to come, indefinitely. That's what this is about. This isn't about some humanitarian crisis, because again, if they were fleeing persecution, the closest country when you're seeking refuge would actually be the Dominican Republic. I've used this analogy plenty times before. If you are running from a tiger. A tiger is chasing you, and you see 10 cars that you could jump in. The closest car to you is an old beater station wagon, but you run past that and you jump in a brand new Mercedes. Were you really trying to get away from the tiger, or was there another motivation? Same can be said for when you're crossing a border. When you leave the country that you're currently in because you're fleeing persecution, because I understand there are people fleeing persecution, but if you don't go to the immediate country right next to you, are you really seeking refuge? If you're like, no, we're going to bypass Mexico where we could seek asylum there. For example, people leaving El Salvador, borders Mexico. No, we don't want to go to Mexico. We want to go to the United States. Are you really seeking asylum? I mean, this is the international. You can look this stuff up. This is all like international standard. If you're seeking asylum, you go to the nearest country because that makes the most sense. It's the least amount of journey you have to take. It's the fastest way to refuge. But no, these people came from across the Caribbean Ocean, and this is why they're using these. This is propaganda to distract people from asking those questions. How did they get from Haiti to Texas if they are poor? There's no doubt in my mind that a lot of these people are poor, but I've seen images of people with gold chains and nicer clothing. Some of the people have already been living in Central and South America. So if they had already been living in Central and South America and the quality of life there is much better than Haiti, why now are tens of thousands of people coming to the United States all at one time? They're all seeking refuge at one time. We know what this is about because we've seen this before. We saw it in 2018, caravans coming to the southern border, because this is all about strategically changing who votes in this country, changing the demographics of the country, which means you change the outcome of elections, the voting demographic, what I mean. They always take that as you're talking racial demographics. That's a racist dog whistle. It affects every United States citizen. Every legal United States citizen should be troubled by this. Yes, I get the optics of Border Patrol. They're running around on horses, but that they're not whipping anybody. Here's another video. They're not whipping anybody. This is mostly to control the 2,000-pound animal that they're using. If anything, they're running from the fact that these animals are moving towards them. They're trying to stop them from crossing over. These are not asylum seekers. These are economic migrants coming here to seek a better life. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they come here to seek a better life? But you got to do it legally. You got to do it the right way. And right now, I believe the law is wait in Mexico, unless Biden has already changed that rule. Wait in Mexico. If they have to keep crossing into Mexico to get supplies or whatever, why not wait there and cross legally? There's a story yesterday about how they overtook a bus. They overtook a bus and then tried to escape. So they're trying to come in illegally. Not all of them, obviously, not every single person, but there are people within that crowd that are trying to circumvent CBP and just go into the country legally because they know nothing will happen. And they know nothing will happen because we are now soft on immigration. A lot of people were so angry. Trump he's got such a hardline stance on immigration. You got to have a hardline stance on immigration because guess what? If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. So if people are okay with this, if they're okay with soft immigration, I guess you're just with the whole, let's just dissolve America because it's such a racist country. And oh, by the way, if we're going to play this game of, yes, Mike, these were whippings of immigrants, well, then it's on Biden. This is Biden's fault. Because if kids in cages was Trump's fault, which we know it wasn't, then migrants being whipped is Biden's fault. That's how it works. If you want to play that game, let's play that game. But this is pure propaganda, distraction. This is to get specifically Black people upset and angry and reminding us of slavery. They love to do that. Remind us of slavery. Let's show them whips and chains. They do it in movies too. They do it in movies. Every couple years or whatever, you'll see a movie about slavery or the Holocaust. That's another story. But those are the two main events in history that they love to remind people of, but they love to remind Black people of slavery. That's why they use certain rhetoric. That's why Joe Biden himself, they're going to put y'all back in chains. They love to do this. And what better way to distract us, right? You notice now they're pivoting away just a little bit from the public health crisis situation. They're pivoting away from that. And now it's back to racial division. You notice how they cycle through three things: racial division, climate emergencies, and now the public health emergency. So now we're cycling back through. That's why you had Joy Reid, beat the race drum the other day when she said missing white woman syndrome, because that's a divisive statement. That's a way to get Black people and white people on opposite ends fighting, thinking about skin color, thinking about race, thinking about things that nobody has control over, and it doesn't matter. And now that we've got this situation here, they're like, well, these immigrants are Black. Let's record a video of Border Patrol agents trying to secure the border, trying to do whatever they can to control crowds of people that are trying to exploit a situation that Biden created. He created this. That's why people are here. That's why. That's exactly why. If they knew that they weren't getting in, if they knew that they would get deported, if they knew that we had a tough, strong border, would they come here by the tens of thousands? The answer is no. So Biden created this situation. They're trying to take advantage of it, because why wouldn't they? You can't even blame them for trying to come into the country. Can anyone be like that they're wrong for? I mean, they're breaking laws, but they're being incentivized. Because Biden is using welfare as a magnet to bring people to the country. Democrats always do that. They need a residual voting block. And what better way to do that than to make people permanent welfare recipients? It's my understanding that welfare is supposed to be used as a safety net, not a hammock, not for people to get comfortable in. It's if you fall on tough times, like if your business was forced closed over a health emergency. 60% of businesses that had to close during the pandemic are closed permanently. Small businesses crushed. So I would like to think that some of the taxpayer money that the government's just sitting on would go to those people first, to put American citizens first. And you contrast this with the way Trump was handling things. They tried to blame him. Kids in cages. Obama built those cages. Fake news with the images of kids in cages. As I said at the beginning of this stream, fake news. Time magazine talking about Trump. Look at how this is propaganda. That's what they do to tug at the heartstrings. So this is all just a big distraction, but it's still worth bringing this up and still talking about it, because they're distracting people from talking about and asking questions, very legitimate questions. Why are so many people at the border at once? How did they get here from a Caribbean island, right? And why did Joe Biden just yesterday announce to the UN, like, hey, we are submitting to globalism. We're back in the Paris Climate Accord. We're back in the World Health Organization. We're joining all of these pacts, these bureaucracies, these global bureaucracies. The tone is completely different. So they want you to think about this. Think about Black people being whipped. Who believes this? When you watch the video, nobody got whipped. If you've ever seen one of those Wild Wild West movies, they're called reins. You can find videos on YouTube how to use a rein with a horse, to control a horse. When a horse is an animal, a 2,000-pound animal, that if you don't control it while you're trying to steer it, and people are moving past it, walking all behind it, horses will freak out just like humans would freak out. I mean, it feels elementary to even have to explain this, but that's where we are. Trying to distract everybody. And listen to this. Listen to these people right here. This is people that they want to go off of an image because it validates what they already believe. It confirms their bias. Listen to how people are trying to connect this to, broader themes or narratives about the United States.
When we hear Jen Psaki speaking, right, for Biden, right, she's the mouthpiece for the Biden administration. When we hear her speaking, and she said that they need to see the full context of what's happening. Are you telling me when you look at these pictures, you need full context from what you're looking at? Not only is it the pictures, you can watch just a few seconds of the video and see what's going on. And you're telling me that you need full context of police officers in Texas on horses with whips that are whipping these Black immigrants. You tell me that you need full context? That tells me everything I need to know about the leadership in this country.
I'm no defender of Jen Psaki at all. But yeah, you need context when you're looking at an image. There's only so much you can tell from it. So when you see a still image like this one, you see this image right here. Yeah, that looks awful. That looks like this white man on horseback is just whipping this poor Haitian immigrant. That's what it looks like. This chick was telling you, you don't need anything else. You don't need to know what happened in there. You don't need to know. All you need is this still shot where the horse looks like it's in distress. He's trying to, rein in. You ever heard the term rein it in? That's where it comes from. He's got to rein. He's got to control the horse and try to keep this guy from whatever he's trying to do. So yeah, you need more context. What is he trying to do? Looks like he's walking over with food, but is he running with food? Was he told to get back? Was he told to stay away? Don't get too close to me. Don't get too close to the horse. You don't know. So yeah, you need context. But according to this person that just wants to lean into feelings is all that matters. All you need is 2 to 3 seconds of a video and a still shot to craft an entire narrative that already reinforces what you believe. That's why I say the truth is a value. You got to want to know if what you believe is true. So you should seek the truth out, even if it contradicts what you think or what you believe. If it contradicts your worldview, tough luck. Tough luck. The truth will set you free, but first it might piss you off. But it's better to know what's true than to find something that confirms your bias, confirms your current beliefs, doesn't challenge your beliefs, doesn't challenge a narrative, just reinforces it. And that's why the propaganda works so well. They only do this because it works, you guys. That's the only reason why. They do this because it works. So you have everybody pushing this same narrative. And anytime you get all of media and all of government, like politicians pretty much, with the exception of at least one Democrat pushing back on the false claims of Border Patrol agents whipping migrants. Anytime you get everybody on the same page pushing one narrative, you need to question it. You need to look into it. Why? Because we've seen this before. Covington Catholic. They're shouting at this Native American in his face, and all he's trying to do is beat his drum and just do what he's doing. And these MAGA hat wearing white kids come over and harass him. Well, a couple of losses later, we see that was fake news and it was thoroughly debunked. And Nicholas Salmon won lawsuits against CNN, I think, and Washington Post. I don't even know which ones they were, but he won lawsuits against them and he's suing the rest of them. Good. What's another big fake news narrative lie that traveled around the world like 10 times before the truth came out? Jussie Smollett. MAGA country. This is MAGA country. Aren't you from Empire? In the middle of Chicago? I mean, come on. Bubba Wallace. Another thing. A noose hanging in NASCAR garage. A noose. Look at this. Hey, black people. A noose hanging. They love to put that kind of imagery and they want to put that kind of narrative out there because it controls what people think and believe. It gets them to focus on their feelings. If they could just be reminded of slavery, lynchings, Jim Crow, they won't think about the segregation that's happening now, the new Jim Crow. They won't think about the replacement migration that's happening, medical tyranny. They won't think about that. They won't think about the withdrawal in Afghanistan that left Americans stranded. This is a narrative change, but specifically using black people. All right, this just fits their narrative perfectly. Fits the narrative perfectly for Democrats. Hey, look, whips. Remember whips? Remember chains? They're going to put you back in chains if you elect the Republicans. Good Lord. So we've seen these stories before. We've seen the fake news before, the propaganda that is used to manipulate the minds of the masses. So yes, white men, which I guess aren't Border Patrol, I guess they're some kind of law enforcement in Texas, whatever, it doesn't even matter. They're trying to enforce the law, which is you cannot cross into our country illegally. And people just love to just say, they're all just seeking asylum. They're all just seeking a better life. Diversity is our strength. We're going to improve. We're going to be a better country because of this, bigot. Just accept it. You couldn't be more wrong. And what other country on earth can you just cross in like this and just get asylum? Just catch and release all of these horrible policies that have been on the books long before Biden. Make no mistake about it. It's not just Biden. I mean, Biden's incentivizing all of this immigration. And again, the distraction. If you think about immigrants being whipped, you don't ask the question, well, how did they get here from Haiti? And why would 16,000 of them all show up at once? Why all at once? Did they have a massive group message? All right, guys, we're leaving on Tuesday. We should get there by Saturday. How come nobody's talking about that? People were starting to question that. I questioned it from the beginning. Wait a minute. Haiti's way over in the Caribbean. If you're seeking asylum, Dominican Republic is right there. Just saying. Appreciate you for the super chat, Julius. God bless you, brother, man. So that's all I had to say about this. That's it. It's just fake news using images and short video clips where you don't see anybody whipped. You can find horse videos of people doing this if they're changing directions quickly, rodeo style. I mean, we're talking about a gigantic animal. That's what a rein is. They're calling it whips. It's not a whip. It's a rein. That's all I can really say about it, guys. I don't want to even like talk in circles on this. This is more just fake news propaganda being used to distract people so that they don't ask any questions about what's going on at the southern border. They ask nothing. They just let it go. Just let it go. And it lets Biden off the hook. It lets Kamala Harris off the hook. It shows Trump was right yet again. And it's for, people who are simpletons that just want to go with the narrative. So now you're seeing all these virtue signals. I saw somebody on one of my friends on social media post an image 1821 and it shows black people being whipped, and then it shows 2021 black people being whipped. Why? Because she doesn't value the truth. The truth is not a value. What's valuable is what's trendy, what's chic, what gets me social media points. Let me virtue signal. Let me put this out there on my Snapchat so everybody knows how woke and moral I am and how I care about these people. But in 5 minutes, she'll forget about it because they'll be on to the next thing. So you're at the whims of propaganda. Whatever comes next, whichever direction the wind blows, that's the direction I virtue signal in. That's it. Weaponizing the media, weaponizing propaganda, weaponizing people against each other. It's probably the same person that would shame you for not getting the whatchamacallit. That's all I can say about that. All right, guys, I got to go. I got to handle some business, but God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Give this a like. We're going to continue to blow up these fake news narratives, propaganda storylines, these headlines used to try to pull away from the bad optics of Biden's regime in the White House. All right, God bless you guys. I'll catch you in the next.